perception is your prison. Most people think that something happened to them, that life happened to them, that their job caused them an issue, that their family member or their ex or some external force caused their issues, or they think that they're defective. I'm broken. There's something wrong with me. I'm unlovable. I'm not enough. And they take it as fact and binary. Like it's one of two things. It's either the world is the problem or the way that I'm constructed is the problem. And neither is the case. Like who we are and what we are is built from the environment we're in. It's built from the beliefs and the things that we pick up, and over time they all come together into this thing that is you. That's not how you were born. And if you look at a small child, like I've got a 3-year-old right now, and when I look at him, he is wide open, and he is whatever he's feeling in that moment is what you get. And he shifts and changes, and he's so present with what's happening right in the moment at all times. So much so that I can't get him to listen and keep his mind in one place to follow something that needs to be done. And yet, that is admirable because he's so in the moment and so outside of this construct of identity that we all end up with. And it's functional. It has to be that way because we have to. I mean, we wouldn't have survived generations and generations as humanity and as humans if we didn't have, like, if we didn't respond more to the negatives and be more aware of negative things in our environment and develop habits and programs internally that run so that we know that when we see a water bottle, like, what do we do with it? And we know that we drink out of it or whatever it is. And that's where all these things become concepts in our mind. So everything becomes a concept that's in our world, and we respond to that. Super functional, very useful, and it's that process that builds up the problem. And then for whatever reason, it just slips out of our awareness. And so we think, oh, there's something wrong with the world. I think that, everybody is mean to me. Well, that is a perceptual problem. You will stay stuck in the prison forever of everyone is mean to me if we hold the belief, because we will seek the ways in which people are mean. We will ignore the ways in which they aren't. And our whole world will be filled with that. That's all that we're going to have in our world. And then we can say, because then we deduce one of two things. Something's wrong with the world. Something's wrong with me. And we forget that it even exists in the middle of our perception. And what is this thing that is filtering all of my experiences, that is causing the thoughts to show up, the feelings to show up, the patterns of behavior to show up? And it's all changeable. It's all reprogrammable. It's all things that we can get. If we can get deep enough into that, then we can shift the way that we view the world. And when we change the way we view the world, we change the world we're in. And yeah, you can say, like, there's a whole bunch of, like, not helpful mindset stuff that can get in the way. Like, you can't just manifest the world into being exactly the way you want. And it is true that you can create, based on your filters, a world that is horrible to be in. And the world that's so horrible to be in for you is this bright, sunny place for the person right next to you. And they're having a great time, and life is great. And so you can then start to make the conclusion that, well, if they're having a great experience and I'm not, it's the same reality. So even though it's not, but it's the same reality, so then I must be broken. And for me, that's something that happened early on, is like, okay, if there are two options and there's something wrong with the world, there's something wrong with me, I started with the world. And if there's something wrong with the world, what can I do to change the things in the world to make me feel differently, to change my experience? And I did it, and it didn't work. And with a lot of goals, it's that way. Like, oh, well, this thing's going to make me happy. Or this next thing. Like, well, it's not that car, but then that newer, shinier car is going to be the thing. And the bigger, nicer house is going to fix it. And there's some truth to that in utility, in the use of what you're getting, in material things, or experiences of job and how you spend your time, or an experience of a relationship that does add value, or an experience of children, or whatever that may be. And the reality of like the deeper truth, though, is that you can go to work, you change the things in the external world, which is what I did, and you go to change the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and at a certain point you're like, forget this sucks. Like, I bet the next thing is going to be like the last 900 things that I tried to change and effectively changed that did nothing for me. So if I still feel this way after all this time, there must be something wrong with me. It can't be the world, because I've done all the changing in the world, and Bill over here is super happy, so I've got to be the problem. And so I changed that, or I focus on that. And for me, and I think for a lot of people, that's a really scary place to be. Like, that's where it gets so dark. And like, what's the way out? Like, if the world's not broken, or where it is broken in a way that I can't fix, other people are fine and happy, I cannot figure that out, and I'm miserable, I must be the problem. And that's scary, because there's not many ways out of that. And a lot of times it doesn't end well. And if we can hold on to the problem as me, but it's not me and who I am, and we can realize that there is this thing between us and life that we look through all the time, that is our perception, now we can go to work on that. We can go to work on, okay, what am I putting into this situation? What am I using to filter this that is disempowering to me, that is causing my pain? And there's reality in life of pain. Like, painful things happen, or stimuli to pain happen, and then we turn into suffering, and we make a story, we focus on something, and we decide what it means, and we turn it into this narrative that we live in. And we all live in one. Every single person that I've ever met lives in some sort of narrative. And when we're in that, there's walls and parameters and things that we can't really get outside of, and things that are always the case, and things that continue to happen to us. And that is where we can go in and say, okay, these situations are continuing to happen. What is it in my perception that is perpetuating them? Or what is it in the way that I'm interpreting them that is causing the problem? Like, really, what is my relationship with myself? Meaning, what's my relationship with my perception? And am I using my perception to empower me, or am I using it to disempower me? And not am I, it's how am I? Because every person is disempowering themselves in some way with their perception. And so you can start to dig into that and figure out the ways in which you're causing yourself challenges. And it's a really slippery slope, though, because like, people with a lot of shame, or people with a lot of self-judgment, or self-blame, they use it as ammunition. They use it as fuel for the fire of like, well, I'm the problem, or more justification for I'm the problem, or gosh, why can't I do better in the way I view my world? And It's not their fault. Like, it is just something that happens where we get this random assortment of perceptual things based on our environment. And when we go to work on them, whatever limiting beliefs and emotional baggage that we have is going to show back up in that. And so for the people that are shame based, everything they uncover is like, well, this is why I'm broken. And, using it as justification and evidence of being broken, not how do we change all these things to make them be for us instead of against us, so the life happens for us and not to us. And I think that's the main thing that comes from my heart. And sure, you could say it's for wonderful reasons and I'm so selfless and everything, but that's not really it. Like, I had so much pain and it was so miserable and scary at certain points of, very dark and very scary. And I selfishly don't want, like, for the way that how bad it felt for me, I don't want other people to have to go to that depth before they can realize perception. There is this thing between you and life, and it is changeable, and it is something that can be adjusted. And if you look at all sorts of things like business coaching and therapy and self-development books and all sorts of things, they're taking one idea or one frame or one perspective of our perception, and they're working with it, like working with your thoughts or working directly with your emotions, or whatever it is that you're working on. Then NLP is and mental and emotional release work in mindset stuff is with thoughts. Like, hypnosis and hypnotherapy is with things that are more deeper level unconscious and beliefs and programming. And a lot of typical therapy is emotionally focused, or like family systems, like the way that we relate to ourselves internally and the structure of how we do that, to my non-expert um, knowledge of those areas. And they are all within this framework of, we don't experience reality directly, we experience it through our perception. It is always there. It's not how, it's not if, or it's not if, it's how that it's affecting us in all these times and moments. And when that's the case, what is it that we can do to work with our perception? What can we do to peel back those layers? And it's something that, everybody's born with their gifts, or their obsessions rather, and or they develop it over time. And I don't know what it was for me, but my obsession is diving into the perceptual layers of, like, what is the structure that holds these beliefs in place, and then what thoughts and feelings come out and are created as a result of these beliefs and these structures. And how do we take someone who is miserable, and whether it looks like it or not, if they're miserable, that's valid. Like, you can see somebody that we would potentially judge, somebody very, very wealthy, and say, like, wow, they should be happy because they have all this money. If they aren't, then where in their perception is the issue? If someone is living on the street and homeless, where is it? I mean, unless it's by choice, purposeful choice, empowered choice, which it's usually not, that I'm aware of, then what is this person perceiving? Like, where in their perception is the issue? If someone is having challenges in a certain area of their life, what is it in that area of life where their perception is causing them the issues? And when we can get deep enough into that, then there's always something that can be done there to help someone empower themselves. And and it's not like a lot of resources say this is the solution, and I've got the answer, and I'm the expert, and you're the person that the expert's going to help and save. And I spent enough time in my life, for my own ego's sake, attempting to be a savior, And you realize it just disempowers people. It makes people more weak and less empowered in themselves. And all we can really hope to be is a resource. How can we be a resource for other people that they can use to empower themselves in the way that they view their world, and at the way that they interact with themselves and their own relationship with their perception?